Welcome to the Uptick podcast, and thank you to David and Jimmy for joining us. Really appreciate it. Most of you probably know who I am. If you don't know, it's pretty irrelevant at this point. So if you'd like to introduce yourselves, that'd be much appreciated.
So I'm James Moughton, a director at Fisk Group. We're a southeast-based fire and security company.
I'm David Scott. I'm the Managing Director at Skills for Security. We're a UK-based apprenticeship training organisation that specialise in fire and security training.
Bro, well, yeah, we really appreciate you joining us. It's good to get insight from people like yourselves. So we're here to talk about the fire and security industry, talent, bringing in the right people and helping the industry progress. How important is the focus on hiring young engineers in the fire and security industry right now?
It's massive, but it's not a new problem. It's a different problem. I've actually been talking about the skills crisis since about 2013. When we came out the back of the last recession, there was a huge focus on the security sector and huge growth because people wanted to feel safe in their properties. And vacant property was a huge area of growth within the sector. Since then, there's been huge events that have happened, Grenfell being one of them, but also Manchester bombing. And those events have driven a need for more qualified, competent people within the fire and security sector. We then went into COVID, post-COVID, we had Brexit, and what's eventually happened is almost like a perfect storm of events that have really driven us to where we are right now. And the problem that we've got is that it's not going to get better on its own. And research that the CITB, Construction Industry Training Body, done just last month, believe it or not, was that there's an immediate need in the construction sector, specifically built environment, for around 230,000 skilled, qualified people immediately. But what's also really scary is that 41% of the workforce retire by 2031. So by 2031, there's a need for 930,000 skilled, qualified people in the built environment sector, which will 100% impact us. But what that means from a sort of fire and security sector point of view is that the people that are suffering right now are the likes of Fisk Group, who are not able to hire new engineers, find skilled people. But what will happen is it affects the supply chain further down the line. So manufacturers, service providers like you guys can't grow your businesses because there isn't talent there to install it or service it or whatever it might be. And then ultimately what then happens is that customers have to pay a premium price to get quality service. It isn't all doom and gloom, but it is a huge challenge that we're facing right now.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. And for you to mention Fisk Group in that, because they're a company that have really lent on pushing for apprenticeships and bringing in young talent and helping them through the early stages of their career. James, how important has that been for Fisk, in ensuring that apprenticeships are a key aspect of your hiring strategy?
Yeah, it's one of the most important aspects of our business, really. Getting young people on board, you train them, you mould them to your company and your company values, and you teach them the skills that they then hopefully will go on and grow within the company. Myself being an example, starting as an apprentice, working my way up to a director. Our project supervisor was an apprentice, not skills for security, but an electrical apprentice. So, yeah, it's a really, really large, important part of our business.
Yeah, it's great for people to see role models like you who join the company as well, who see that as being a success, which obviously ties into what you do, David. Like, we see a lot of the work you do. We appreciate it. There's a lot of young engineers using Uptick, which we like to see, who come through at Skills for Security. As the leading, training provider for the security industry in the UK, what trends are you seeing with young engineers at the moment?
And a great question. And what we see is that the industry's responding to the problem. So 5 years ago, we had less than 100 apprentices on programme based in a little village called Knutsford. You fast forward to today, we've got over 1,300 live apprentices on our programmes across the whole of the UK. We've grown over 1,000%, and we've now set up a recruitment team within Skills for Security, not
Nice.
for engineers, but specifically for apprentices. So we were talking to companies maybe 3-4 years ago saying, everything you do is amazing, we need more apprentices. And then fast forward 3-6 months, you would go back to them and say, how are you getting on with your recruitment? Can't find them, don't know where to look, it's taken too long, thousands of CVs. So we set up this recruitment team to ultimately speed up that process. And now we've went from a 6-month recruitment process to 6 weeks, which means that we are bringing more young people into the sector now than ever before. And as a direct result of that, we are investing all the time. Every pound of profit we make gets reinvested back into the sector just now. We've opened 4 centres across the UK in the last 5 years, with another 2 coming to the forefront in the next couple of in this year. So we're opening in Essex and Barnsley within 2025, just as a direct response to the sector's demand for more apprentices. If we look out with the fire and security sector in terms of trends as well, what we are seeing is that more and more sectors are taking on apprentices. The amount of apprentices enrolling on programmes is growing year on year. And one of the main reasons for that is the fact that universities continue to charge for education. So if a young person goes to university, they walk out with tens of thousands of pounds of debt, whereas with an apprenticeship, they leave with no debt. They've earned for the 3, 4, 5 year period. And actually, people are starting to click on that apprenticeships are a really solid way to learn, develop, and have a really strong career.
That's interesting. You touched there more generally on the skill shortage that we face in the UK. So this isn't something which is exclusive to the fire and security industry, as you know. But what do you think that our sector, the fire and security sector, can do to ensure that, you know, these young talented people that we need to, you know, make the most of as a society actually enter and stay in the fire and security sector rather than going elsewhere?
I mean, it would be great if schools pushed it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You learn the electrical side in school. You don't learn about fire and security.
Yeah.
Fire safety is only ever going to get stricter and stricter, which means there's going to be more people needed. If the schools taught that early on and push people in that direction, that would help. You set up events for young people. We just chatted about it earlier at the FSC, which is a great way to get people on board, isn't it?
Yeah. We identified in 2022, we sat down and looked at what challenges the sector's facing right now, and we sort of identified the 3 key problems that we've got. Is that there's a skill shortage, obviously. When young people enter the sector, there's no career pathway.
Yep.
And no one is ever growing up wanting to be a fire and security engineer. And I think we've came a long way from when I started in the sector. It was all nepotism. It was all like who you knew, your uncle. That's how I get into the sector. We've came a long way from that. And I think there's been a lot of good work done. But in 2022, we set up what we call the sponsorship initiative, where we raise investment from the sector and basically reinvest it back into the sector. And we've currently got 30 partners that basically fund us to do good within the sector right now. And we only, although we discussed it in 2022, it went live in 23. And that initiative has seen us being able to scale quickly, bring more young people in, fill vacancies quicker. And where we've spent the money over the last year or 2 is essentially sponsoring the National Apprenticeship Show, which is a huge event for school leavers across the whole of the UK. And don't get me wrong, loads of people do loads of great work. Like, employers are brilliant, manufacturers are great, but if they do it on an individual basis, they don't get the same impact as doing it collaboratively. And we realised that Skills for Security is central because we have really good relationships with employers, so we can help them fill their vacancies. We've got strong relationships with the manufacturers and you guys, and ultimately we can showcase your tech and product to a whole new audience of young people. And then obviously we've got the relationship with the schools, the colleges, etc., which ultimately means that we can attract and raise awareness that this sector is ultimately a really interesting place to work. And yeah, since we rolled that out, we've now got like a couple of thousand of people that are unemployed, school leaver age, now looking to apply for jobs in our sector. And that's never ever happened before. And it's a really exciting opportunity for the sector being able to do that.
Great, yeah. It's always interesting to hear perspectives from a company like yourself who sort of sits in the middle. You know, you've got companies like Fisk, companies like us. We're all sort of different actors. I personally think it's important that young people understand that entering this sector means that they can do something that's, you know, effective and substantial in terms of making the world a safer place. But as you mentioned, James, this industry is only going to become stricter and stricter, which means there are more and more jobs. So it's also a prosperous place to be for a young person. Yep. You know, you mentioned the defence thing there. Do you think there are other sectors that perhaps have traditionally done a better job of, you know, attracting young engineers in this country?
Yeah, I'm in a really fortunate position. I sit on other groups, forums, sectors to learn. I work closely with the electrical sector, but have also worked closely with the cyber security sector. And they have a really rigorous and robust sort of career mapping development skill process that makes it attractive for a young person to come in on board and work. But I also think that there is a lot of good that happens in our own sector. Some of the larger sort of, and I mean very large enterprise companies in the sector now have their own academy models. So basically what that means is that apprenticeships are employer-led, and they ultimately take on enough apprentices that they have a cohort full of their own team. And what that allows them to do is be very bespoke on the training requirements, but also they can add quite innovative things around like culture. So it means that whilst they're learning with us, they're not just learning about the fire and security sector, they're learning about what it means to work with that enterprise company culturally, code of conduct, behaviours, what's expected of them. And a number of the larger enterprise companies as well are sort of picking up that the skills crisis isn't getting any better, and that investing in their own teams right now is the only way to go.
Yeah, great. Which also ties into young people are more technologically astute often than people in our industry, which can be quite old school. You know, young people probably don't want to use pen and paper when they're out on site, you know, conducting reviews and such. How important do you think that, and this is probably a question for you, James, how important do you think that embracing technology and allowing engineers to use tools which are more modern and, you know, more forward thinking, how important is that to retaining good talent?
Yeah, it's really important. Obviously, the younger people in our company are better at using the tech. The older people have got the experience, so they sort of learn off each other. The older people teach them the experience they've learned, and sort of the younger generation helps them with the tech. I mean, I'm from the days where we used to use pen and paper. I dread to think the amount of jobs we've missed invoicing, or because some paperwork's gone missing in someone's van.
I was going to say, I don't know where
someone's
you sit.
bag.
Do you sit with the young ones or the old ones? Somewhere in the middle.
I'm the older one, but I actually like the tech. So obviously I've really got on board with the tech.
Yeah.
If you're not digital, you're going to get left behind. Paperwork's going to be a thing of the past in the very, very not too distant future.
I always joke when I speak to young people that you're more likely to be holding a phone and a laptop these days than you are a tool bag. And I think that makes it a very exciting industry to work in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they're inextricably linked, aren't they? Like the security industry in general, people are having to learn brand new technologies, but there are tools to help people do their jobs better day to day. So it's a two-way process. Like, we rely on the young people to inform us. Say us, I don't know where I sit in that either, to be honest. I'm on the lower end compared to you. But you touched on technology, which is definitely one aspect. But what do you think that young people in general are looking for in an employer these days?
It's a massive mixture. I think what's really important these days to especially the younger generation is a good work-life balance. They don't want to be working every hour under the sun like some of the older engineers used to. They like to have a good home-life balance. They like to do their job, get home, and as long as they're doing their job well, it's important. Obviously wage is a big thing. That's always going to be the main point for anyone.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're quite set with our apprenticeship wages with the government. We always try and pay above, which hopefully helps to entice younger people to our company over the many others that are around.
I couldn't agree more. I think young people this day and age are completely different to what I would have been like as a young person. I think they're better educated. I think they're more informed. I think they care more about politics, economy, environment, like social, whatever. But what's interesting is that I've obviously worked with thousands of young people now. But actually, my brother sits in that category. So he's considerably younger than me, and we grew up together, and we were very, very close. But yet we are completely different when it comes to sort of work ethics, behaviours. Not that he doesn't work hard, but he, like you've just said, he cares about different things. He cares about getting home on time and having a balance in his work life and having a good work culture, which at that age I would never have known what that was. So yeah, 100%. It's a different world.
Yeah. No, that is really important, as you say, because any company as well can sell themselves as being, a great environment. They'll all write that down on wax, and then when you get there, it's not the same when you arrive. Like, I've been to the Fisk office. Obviously, we're mates, but I can definitely vouch for the fact that is a great environment to work in. Do you think that, or what do you think that Fisk has done successfully to allow you to retain, good talent in a time where it's been really testing for other companies as well?
One thing we don't do is we don't micromanage.
Right.
We let people get on with their work. We manage where we need to. We let the supervisors do their jobs. The supervisors let the engineers do their jobs, who will then teach the apprentices. I think that's important. You don't want someone breathing down your neck every second of the day. We try and make it a fun environment. We do try and do social things as much as we can. Whether that's in London, Chelmsford, we do a summer barbecue every year, and things like that.
I'm wondering the same.
I invite him to every Uptick event. I get Jimmy down. I never get an invite to any of
I
these.
say every year. It's only been 2 years so far, but it's now a tradition.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
You'll be there. We'll have to do it before July though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Post-COVID as well, what we've realised is that retention around the apprentices for our business is sitting about 90%, which is way above national average.
That's great, yeah.
But there are employers that struggle with retention, and we released a retention strategy document that isn't for like sort of public display or anything. It's just for employers that are struggling with retaining young people. And what we tried to do was link it to what they would learn on the 3-year apprenticeship and ultimately set 6 monthly KPIs. And every 6 months they would benefit or be incentivised to achieve that. And that, for me, is from research that we've done with young people, is the key sort of thing that they look for from an employer. We sort of spoke to all of our learners about 2-3 years ago to find out what it is that you're looking for from your employer. And salary was actually way down the list. It was continuous professional development. It was feeling worthy, being appreciated, and ultimately having that 6 monthly incentivised programme was something that the young people really, really appreciated. And it's not set in stone. It's just sort of throwing different ideas on paper. If you can install a PIR, a fire detector, a X, Y, and Z by 6 months, you get a tool bag, a multimeter. By the end of year 1, if you can do X, Y, and Z, then you get a works van, an extra day's holiday, and it just continues every 6 months through the 3-year programme. And that alone, having that in place, motivates a young person to just keep going, stay focused, and drive the right behaviours. But one of the problems we had seen as well was that, okay, you get them through the 3-year apprenticeship programme, but then they get offered the big bucks with another company and they leave. So what we sort of started to promote is at the end of the 3-year apprenticeship, put them on another apprenticeship. It's fully funded by the government. It comes out the levy pot, and put them on some sort of supervisory leadership management programme where that newly qualified apprentice is now the mentor for all the other apprentices in your business, or give them some responsibility of running their own project, and put them on another apprenticeship like a management one, which lasts an additional 18 months. And just like that, you've managed to retain them in the business another 18 months, Once that's done, operations manager, that's another 2 years, and etc. And you just keep going.
I suppose it's showing them that you're really invested in them.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Yeah,
So
it's good.
it's we're starting to see some real results from that.
I think that ties into what we mentioned before as well about young people knowing what they want more these days. Like if you can incorporate a little bit more structure that maybe you'd get more prevalently in a corporate role, I think that is probably what would attract young people more. Have you seen a sort of an upward trend in success since implementing that in the last couple of years? Yeah.
Both those that we've gave the strategy to have said that it's changed the way they run their business.
That's great.
They see financial results, retention results. And those that continue on to leadership apprenticeship have said the exact same thing. It makes the person feel valued, and therefore they stay longer.
Are there any sort of standout people for you that you would see as a great example of apprenticeships, bringing people young, investing in them?
Yeah, obviously, I'm not going to name anyone.
You say yourself?
Yeah, myself. Yeah. I should be invested in.
Can't do that.
22 years later, I started apprenticeship. We have got standout apprentices that we have had over the years. We've had people really stand out, and they move up the company really quickly. Like I said earlier, our project supervisor, Ollie, what's he, 25 now, is he? 25, 26, and he's running all our large projects.
That's amazing, yeah.
And he had the motivation, and you could see straight away he was going to be a leader. And we've got a few like that, that have moved up through the ranks. And
having a track record of that, though, is how you will retain people like that. Because he can see you did it, people will look up to Ollie. I've met him, he seems very senior, he's obviously really young. And being able to see those stories of success is only going to bring more people in to do the same.
We see that as well, though, and I'm turning into the stat man on this podcast. But
bring it on.
We got an Ofsted inspection recently, and it's quite a rigorous 1 week process, to be honest. But part of that it was like, where are they now? So we had to basically go back and find all of our old apprentices that we'd taught in the past. And it was really, really interesting because 80% of our learners, 3 years after they qualify, are either in a management position or own their own business. So ultimately,
really good.
Those young people that you're influencing right now are the leaders and decision makers of the future. And it makes it even more important, the sort of work that we're doing with them over the 3-year apprenticeship.
Yeah, that is really good to know. What would you give as one bit of advice, would you say, and both of you from different aspects of the industry, to fire and security businesses who are looking to hire the right people? What would be the main bit of advice that you would give them if you could?
For apprentices and young people? Yeah, I would say get your head down at college, get through the course, take in as much as you can, volunteer to go with as many different engineers as you can, because you're going to learn something different off every single one.
Yeah.
Put your hand up if someone says, oh, we need someone to try this, and you've never tried it before, give it a go. You're never going to be left on your own with something you don't know how to do. But so I'd say that, put your hand up, volunteer, and give everything a go.
Nice. And you, David?
My advice would be to employers. We've done research in the electrical sector, and the ratio of engineer to apprentice in the electrical sector is between 10 and 15%. So if you think this sector has around 100,000 fire and security engineers, we should have 10,000 apprentices, and we don't. So that's exciting, because we can see that there's a huge amount of growth still to happen in this sector. But my advice to an employer would be, if you have a workforce of engineers, then you would be looking to the creme de la creme. The goal is to have a ratio of 10%, and it doesn't need to happen overnight, but it's something to aspire to.
Yeah.
I think we're probably at about that figure, aren't we? We're 10% of our apprentices. Yeah, we've just enrolled 2 more.
That's amazing.
Just taken on another one this week who we're going to enrol, so we're going to have another 3 new starters in skills for security.
What about that, 11, 12 in total?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
And we'll start to see the benefits as an industry in a few years' time, won't we? I mean, where do you see the industry being in terms of this conversation in 3-4 years' time?
We have aspirations to have 3,000 apprentices at Skills for Security in the next 2-3 years.
That's phenomenal.
The numbers support it as well.
Yeah. Jimmy will be tapping you up, won't he?
Yeah. Well, we'll just keep going.
I was going to ask as well with that. Obviously, you're based in Essex. You got a big company in Essex. You do work in and around it. You know, not just there. Do you look elsewhere to find engineers, or do you find that when you're focused more on apprenticeships, it's local people?
Yeah, we are. All our work is Essex, London, and the surrounding. We haven't ventured further afield yet. We've thought about it. We've never wanted our service to drop by taking on something too far away, so we solely look around Essex and London, really.
Nice.
Kent is furthest we go, I think.
Yeah. Well, I guess that suits as well the apprenticeship sort of model that you have. You get some companies that might have 3 or 4 staff based all around the country, but you probably have to pay a premium to bring those people in, and that's where it becomes difficult to run maybe a national business as well.
And I'm not saying in the future that might not happen, but yeah, for now, we're local.
Yeah. What would be a question that you're going to leave for our next guests?
What's the question? Has anything been left for us?
That's your one, yeah? Okay, David?
Huh? That's my question, yeah.
No.
So I can get an example of
No.
what's
This is the first one. This is the first one. I don't really know what to expect, but...
Our question for the next guest is, if you could replace Billy with whoever else in the world, dead or alive, who would it be?
Okay, yeah. That'll be a baptism of fire for her when she walks in. I've never met her before, and she's got to say that. Okay, well, thanks, Jimmy, and thanks, David. We really appreciate you coming. We see you all the time, so you'll all be seeing Jimmy's face again as being the face of Uptick, as he is. And David, we love the work that you're doing. We love seeing the young engineers coming through, and we'll be keeping an eye on all of it. So, yeah, really excited to see your progress and Skills for Security and what you do for the industry. So, yeah, thank you very much to you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.